What's real? Reality. Real. Let's go. Bullets travel like gossip, running in mouth like leaky faucets. Two-faced niggas be stealing ideas and nothing solid. Grown men and their feelings debating on true intention.
Black Healing.
All right, we on.
Mic check, mic check. This is Guess Outside Podcast. I'm your host, Adam L. My co-host,
Because the governor.
and
Ty.
and
Jaquan. What's up?
we're trying to bring y'all content every week. Keep y'all updated on topics, worldly affairs, things that happen within the culture, within our community, within the world, abroad. You know, it's just, I like to call it man's therapy. We'll be back on the couch soon, but for now, rocking like this. All right, so Ty, again, what's the topic at hand?
We have
for the second session?
Yeah, we got it for the second session. We're going to discuss the mask we wear. Are we required to wear masks in everyday life to survive? Does that conflict with our authenticity? Does it impact our personal, professional life? How do we, can it be detrimental? Can it be, is it a part of us fundamentally? Things like that. So that's where the angle that we're going to come from in this session.
All right. Who's going to kick it off? I kicked off the first time.
I'm just going to say straight up, we do have to wear masks to survive. In everyday life, every situation, like you have to, like, especially if you're living in, I hate to say this word, but I'm gonna say it, a very urban environment. Like if you grew up in Baltimore City, you quickly learn that you need to code switch and be able to move in and out of different circles and be aware of how people are perceiving who you are. But like for me, so that, like, so you have to for your own survival. But I think that you also have to be aware of, I think, like, as you get older, and at least for me, how that your ways of being doesn't, like, seep into, like, if you needed to be a very selfish, cold-hearted person, or a person who didn't trust or people and things like that, you may have to learn to, or you perceive danger in every random situation. You may have to learn how to tamper that, like, to reevaluate that, because that could affect you professionally and personally or romantically. And
okay,
I'll just start off there.
What you mean, like? I don't know. I mean,
so
are we playing like personality disorder? Is that like borderline? And what I mean is, because you're putting on different masks, right? As they say in our community, you're acting white. When you're around in suits and stuff like that, and you're like, "Hey, John, how are you doing today?" Or you answer the phone, "Hey, this is Willie Wright from customer service. How are you today?" And then when you hang up, like, this mother, this they're playing. You know what I'm saying? Because the reason why I say that, because you said in the text, is this really us? So if it's not really you, are you being unauthentic? Are you being fake? When does the mask? I mean, it's two different ways you can look at it. You can look at yourself as a chameleon, and you can blend in with any society, any walk of life, right? You had that experience to blend in with different people, right? Or you can just be that, or are you fake and you're putting on a mask? Because, keep it real, people can see through that.
Yeah,
you can see through it.
But for me, like, I'm gonna start it off like this. It's like, there are rules to every environment. You can't hate the game. You can't hate the player, right? You gotta hate the game. So if you go into a corporate environment, there are certain rules, there's a certain culture, there's certain expectations that you need to match and assimilate with. And if you don't, you are going to make things harder for yourself. You don't now you could go out and just, thug it out and say, I'm gonna do me and be who I am and do what I want. But you're gonna stick out like a sore thumb in those situations. So it's not really in that situation, it's not really being fake, it's being practical, it's being logical. And you have to, like, I guess some level you have to compartmentalize, like, some to when it comes to, like, professionally, you have to learn to compartmentalize who you are at work from who you are in your personal life. You know what I mean? Your work, like, you can't go to a workplace and think you want to make up the rules and the policies and procedures and so on and so forth. And then if you pivot to the streets and you're in a more urban environment, you're going to, you don't dictate that either.
I disagree. I think that you'll stick out like a sore thumb to the real people, and it will backfire on you. If you go to the streets and you try to act all gully and hard after you done came from the suburbs behind your cubicle, right? Somebody gonna pull your card. And if you go to the suburbs and your corporate office job, and from my experiences, the white boys respect the real you. Right? Not the raw you, the real you. What I mean by that is, you don't got to go up in there and say, hi, this is John. Hey, John, this is Al. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And talk all properly. You go in there, you talking and being yourself. That's who you are. It's the mask is unauthentic if you're overdoing it. You know what I'm saying? It's a difference. It's a difference. It's a difference from blending in with anybody.
Yeah.
And it's a difference from trying to blend in. When you're trying to blend in, you get exposed. And these white boys, they're going to play your game, and they're going to laugh behind your back and say, man, look at the Sambo ninja. I can't.
Yeah.
Look at the Sambo ninja. Trying to act like he's proper or he's important or he come from Harvard or something like that. Well, you can just come in there and be Will. Come in there like, hey, man, how you doing, John? What's going on? How's your day? You know what I'm saying? And let your work speak for itself. You don't got to go in there and say, I just came from Pennsylvania Avenue. I just came from Pennsylvania Avenue. The minute you walk in, you put the suit and tie on and say, hey, John, how are you today? You know what I'm saying? Come on, bro. It's a borderline from being forcing that hand and being fake and just that's authentically who you are. You're gonna stick out like a sore thumb.
I mean, what I'm saying is that
real quick, hold that thought. There's a certain individual, I won't mention his name. He went on vacation, right? I know this person not to be very street savvy, right? And he was at a certain country, and he said, you know what? I had to switch gears because I got to blend in with people. If the people know that you ain't from that cloth, you're gonna get exposed regardless. That's like the white boys or whoever in that corporate power. They know that you ain't from that cloth. You're gonna get exposed. So it's best to be real to who you are and let your work speak for yourself. If you can't accept me for who I am, then I don't need to be around you. That's business. That takes for anything in life. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a difference if, like I said again, if you're a person who can blend in well without being fake. That's the key word. If you can blend in well without overdoing it, then it matters. But if you being fake and you know that's not true, and you're trying to put on a Denzel Washington act, you're going to get exposed.
You're going to get exposed. Yeah, I agree with you 100% on that point. Like it's definitely a balancing act. Like you don't want to overdo it, but you don't also want to sit like you don't want to be stubborn. Because I've seen people, black folks that go in those corporate environments and they think that they just going to come in and do who they are. They come in there, wear their fronts, or come in there, talk, use our slang and our and bring that type of change, bring their culture into those environments. And it's not appreciated because there's a certain expectation, and humans oftentimes don't like their expectations to be tampered with. You get what I'm saying? So like you just gotta, it's a balancing act. I'm not saying to go in and be phony, but if everybody in that environment is talking in a very proper formal way, why would you go in there and start talking informal or using slang and so on and so forth? And even if that's you, you are needlessly making things harder for yourself. You know, like that culture, like you either, you know, like you can assimilate or you can and it's a balancing act. Like I said, I'm not saying to go in there and be phony because I do it myself. Like I bring my black self to work. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I will say this and own this. I tailor my approach when I'm in that environment. I don't, I'm not I'm not using certain vernacular and slang and so on and so forth in those environments.
Did you use that on a normal basis though? You use the slang on a normal basis when you talk. See, that's the difference.
To some degree, like I'm not too much different between that environment and work environment, but it's less slang. It's a little bit more formal. I'm not to a point where it's like, yo, you can't even recognize myself between these environments. You get what I'm saying? And when it comes down to the street thing, like when it comes down to the streets, I don't think that. Yeah, I think it is more risky to play that game where you start being fake because someone is going to expose you. And let me back and say this. I don't think most people have that emotional intelligence and IQ to spot. Like you'd be surprised how many people can spot. If you ask them to spot someone fake, it'll take them a lot of bad experiences to spot that someone is being fake or disingenuous or so on and so forth.
Not really. It's the thing that women have. We have what you call women has an intuition, and we have what we call
hunch, the masculine hunch.
Yeah, we can just feel that vibe. You know what I'm saying? When someone's doing the most, or you can just tell you're not from this environment, or you got something up your sleeve, or you're putting on a mask right now, and I'm going to respect you more if you be yourself. And no one's telling you to come into the corporate world saying F bombs, B bombs, right?
Yeah, because you're gonna have a problem.
But they're not telling you to not go outside the box of who you are. You will find those people respect you more. You get what I'm saying? Even if they don't, it's funny, man. You know, because I've been on jobs dealing with white guys, and they respect you more for who you been, who you are. You're not disrespecting yourself and saying F this, F that. You know, listen to whatever, doing what you're doing, that you be on Pennsylvania, what you were doing PA Avenue or whatever. But you go in there and say, look, no, I'm not going to sit here and act like I like, wear Wrangler jeans and cowboy boots and listen to country music. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not saying that. That's fake.
I'm not going to do that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not going to pretend that I like what you like. If I like what you like, that's different. But I'm not going to try to blend in and say, I listen to Gruff books too. Nah, it's not that.
Yeah, that's straight or fake.
You know what I'm saying?
Now, in the workplace, it can oftentimes be where that, what's the word? It be a fake environment. Sometimes you got to play the politics with the folks.
And
to what degree?
That's kind of sometimes where you do have to kind of put on a bit of the mask, but how long do you wear it? That could be the real question that some people have to consider. Like,
how much can you tolerate it?
Right. Especially if you need to, because like some people playing a political game where, like, the last one, like say we were talking about the last time, somebody's in there acting a fool, they talking all this talk, harassing a woman in the workplace. So you can either go behind, see what they would do is typically they would go behind his back. They're not going to tell him anything. They would just go talk to the other people within the company. Like, yeah, we noticed Bob is saying these little comments. He was saying this, that, and the third. And then the next thing you know, they got him fired because they got him to go through the HR process. You know what I mean? So that they play it that way, sometimes you do have to put on a mask at work.
But like you said something, how long would this charade play off? Because it's a mind game. The people that you're talking to at work, let's say, I hate to use the word boss, let's say that the people that has a position higher than you, right?
Yeah.
And you're putting on a charade. and they could be playing chess with you, playing the 50 all the time, and knowing that, man, this dude, I know your game, but we're gonna play it long, and guess what? I'm gonna bite you in the end.
Right.
And some of them is if they kind enough and gentle and sweet enough, they'll sit you down and say, reason why we let you go because we wanted the real you. I like to have real people around me in this work environment. If I don't know who you are, then I can't trust you.
That's like an oxymoron.
I'm gonna have to let you go.
Real.
I'm gonna have to let you go. You get what I'm saying? I'm gonna have to let you go.
It's inherently
that applies to the corporate world and it applies to the streets. It ain't too much of a difference. It's just one is by the books and one is off the books. It's just like if you're trying to impress a dude on the corner, right? A kingpin or the dude who running the block, right? And he know that you fake. He's gonna let you play yourself out position. And then once you know you go out for a cheesesteak or whatever, turn around, a gun on you. He's like, I gave you a chance, but you're not who you say you are. I know you fake. You know what I'm saying? Probably when they caught this bullet, you just gave me the real you. I'm sure the real you is cooler than what you portray to be. You get what I'm saying? I got to get rid of you. You know what I'm saying? So
I feel like streets.
It's the same thing.
They are, but they are. It like I would say the work environment is much, much, much more faker than, especially in a corporate environment. Then all of the language is made up. The culture is made up. Everything. It doesn't resemble. In some way, the politics resemble street politics and things like that. But a lot of the culture, the expectations, the language, it is made up. It's garbage. And so you can't. There's the rules that would apply, the things that people would see, and it's crazy because the things that you would see in a normal relationship as wrong. Like say something backbiting and weaponizing information in a relationship. In most situations, in the average, in a personal relationship, you would see that as a bad thing. People being passive aggressive, you would see that as a bad thing, or brown nose and things like that. But in a corporate environment, that's actually in some way encouraged and accepted. You know what I mean?
It depends. It depends. I think that environment depends on, and I hate to use this word, it depends on how your boss way. If your boss is a man that's real, he wants real people around him, he's going to expect you to be real. Right. If you're in a fake environment where your boss is fake,
real, bro,
then that may be your calling card. And get this: when are you going to eventually, like actors? You see, when actors play a certain role, like the guy who played the Joker, right, that passed away, he couldn't get out of his role. When you get what I'm saying? You playing a role so much that you've been phony so much that eventually that you're going to really become phony. When for a real person, when would that start to eat you alive?
But that's what I was saying earlier. Is like you gotta at some point, especially when I come to work. For me personally, I have to compartmentalize work because I can't, merge bring my full personal self to work. It's backfired on me before. You know what I mean? In a couple of situations where I try to bring my real authentic self, but that's not encouraged. Like there's expectations and how someone's supposed to behave in that type of environment and how someone isn't. And if you don't meet that expectation, oftentimes it does have a negative consequence for you. So you just have to decide personally, what is it that you're willing to tolerate and what is it that you're not willing to tolerate. So if you're not a person who wants to backstab someone and you're in an environment that requires that type of backstabbing, then you need to move. You need to be working on a plan to get out of that environment. Don't go work at JP Morgan or Morgan Stanley.
Until then,
that's the culture.
Until then, do you backstab?
No, I don't think it's that. I think it's more like an individual type of a basis. Say you're working at a place, everybody's all right? But it only takes just one person to come around there and say they come in looking for information from you, asking you personal things like, yeah, I noticed you had a cough, and just wondering what it was. You know what I mean? So then you're talking to them, and next thing you know, you notice that your information is floating around to the next person. You find a person like that. That's what I mean. That's kind of the person that you would have to play the game with, not necessarily always having to wear the mask, you know what I mean, at all times. But for people like that, they might need that. You know what I'm saying?
And that's a very
but real quick though, wouldn't it be, if we're gonna play this game, wouldn't it be better to play the put on the mask for the boss rather than that person? What if that person don't? What if that person don't matter? What if he don't?
No,
what if they don't matter?
Here's how they matter.
do matter.
Here's how they matter.
Okay,
Here's how they matter.
okay. Hold on.
Only if they matter in the state like this. This person somehow got the boss's ear for some reason. You're supposed to follow these rules, right? So you're doing everything you're supposed to do. Yeah, all the I's dotted, T's crossed, right? But for some reason, this individual seems to had this person is some type of a person of influence, and can always somehow change the dynamics how everything's supposed to go. So now whatever decision that was supposed to go in your favor, now somehow they got turned another way, because now you're all of a sudden they looking at you like, yeah, well, we heard that you had this type of a character flaw, so we decided to give it to Jim instead. That type of a game is when the mask has to come on. That's what I'm saying.
and let me also put another scenario out there, right? Is that, like, for instance, speaking, would you agree in most cases, right? If you disagree with something in a normal relationship, you're expected to speak up, right? You know what I mean? You're expected to advocate for yourself, right? Set boundaries and so on and so forth. That's a normal relationship.
No. I'm gonna let Quan cook, but no, because we talk about mass, right? We're talking about abroad. We're talking about adapting to certain situations. You know, in certain relationships, right, individual basis, if you're expected to speak up, they could be detrimental to your relationship, and the harm can outweigh the benefit. So don't go to your job and put on a mask for your superior, but you don't want to put on a mask for your significant other. You know what I'm saying? The consequences could be very dangerous or
why would you need to put a mask on for your significant other?
Because
in this situation, it's your survival. It's your paycheck.
The topic is survival and putting on a mask, not just and that could be your survival. Because what if you don't put the mask on and she take you downtown for child support, or she sue you for alimony?
Ready for that yet?
Come on, man. Let's pod.
I get it.
Let's pod, man. Let's go to Quan. Let's go to Quan real quick. Let's pod, man. Let's pod. I keep telling y'all I'm gonna get y'all. I'm the bad guy today.
No, I
am the villain. I am the villain. Quan, what's up, man? Talk to me. Quan, lost in the sauce. You with us?
Yeah, I'm here. Wait, can anybody hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
I want to twist from a perspective from your generation. What is the mask? What it does for your generation? Is it good to be fake, fraudulent, or is this, you know what I'm saying? Can you tell the difference between somebody putting on a mask, or this is just the person, the naturally, what's that, innate, that's the word for it? Naturally, that person persona, meaning that they can just blend in like a chameleon. You know what I'm saying?
Well, a lot of people nowadays are really animalistic, really. And a lot of people put on masks because, they're either really depressed or very upset with life and themselves. And just my personal experience and meeting people my age and my generation, a lot of people feel like they have to put on that mask. They can't be legit because they're scared of the world, an outside world, and how it's going to affect them, how it's going to harm them. So a lot of people feel like they have to put on that mask to protect themselves because it's a dangerous world out here. It's a dangerous game. And sometimes if you don't put on that mask, you do get killed. But however, I will say it is better to be somebody than just to be anybody, because you want to also be consistent with yourself no matter who you are around. You don't want rumors to spread about yourself. You don't want the he say and she say type of thing, because that can also be dangerous. So it also depends on the environment. But I'll say really for America, it really is good to try to be consistent with who you are and try to have people know you, because we live in the age of technology where rumors and ideals of you can easily spread, that even business wise, everything about you is just public. You know,
Is it better to be an open book?
No, not open book.
Sort of like if y'all ever seen the movie 8 Mile, and how did Eminem win the rap battle? He exposed himself before his opposition could expose him. He was comfortable with exposing himself before his opposition exposed him. Right? And I'm just challenging on what you're saying, like people got to put on a mask for this, that, and the third, and your generation out of fear that people won't like the real them. You get what I'm saying? But if they come into an environment where, look, either you're going to accept me for who I am or don't accept me at all. I come with these flaws, and I'm sure you got a whole lot of flaws with you, but you just, difference between you and I'm going to expose mine. You're scared to expose yours. What you see is what you get. That's the main topic of the whole premise. What you see is what you get, right? That's it. What you see is what you get. So, yeah,
I think in like personal, in your personal relationships, when it comes to streetwise, it probably is a better thing to just try to be authentic. Like if you're not a street dude, you should probably, from my point of view, you should probably just stick to yourself, because that's an environment where it is much more likely for you to be exposed. But when you're in a workplace or a corporate environment, it does, you know, you have to sometimes wear a mask and tailor what you say and do. And like going back to what I was saying earlier, it's like if you have like in a situation in a work environment, speaking up for yourself and setting boundaries and questioning things can be seen as insubordination. And if you don't, you know, questioning a manager or challenging a manager can be seen as an insubordination. So in that situation, you do have to change. It's not being, you know, it's not, you know, you have to change your approach. Exactly.
And speaking up for yourself in your bedroom will put you on the couch. Speaking up for yourself in the corner put you in the box.
You know how you do it though.
So when did you become your authentic self?
In both situations, it depends on how you do it. Like say in the courthouse, right? The judge is almost 9 times, I don't know, the way it always seemed to me. Every time I've been in the courtroom, it's like the judge thinks he's God to me. You know what I mean? The way that they demand everything to happen. We want silence at all times. We'll put you in for contempt for the slightest thing. You know what I mean? Mm. So you see everybody get up there to talk to them. Most people are not even used to saying, sir. Oh, yeah, yes, Your Honor. You know what I'm saying? The whole thing changes.
I'm glad you said that. Stay with that. Come on, I got you. Yeah. I got you. No, I got you.
That's the mask that you had to wear for that time being. You know,
but here's the thing.
Yeah.
For a person who been, I'm just vouching for I'm just speaking on myself, who been in criminal court.
Yeah.
He already know that you putting on a mask.
True.
He already got your fate in their hand.
But you see how upset.
So all that. Yes, Your Honor. No, Your Honor. Like Judge Booth told me she didn't go. I know you did it, Mr. Right. All that standing up and crocodile sorrows and speaking to the family don't mean nothing. I'm still gonna fry you. I already know what you're doing. I see the mask on your face. You get what I'm saying? I see it on your face. You can stand up where the most. You bought a nice little sharp suit. You got it tailor-fitted. You're gonna go right to prison in that.
No, I get that. What
I'm saying? As far as the job is as far as getting back to the corporate world, you can tap dance all you want, brother. He already got his attention to what he's gonna do with you. So you might as well keep it balanced on who you are and not ruin your integrity. And that's when you put the mask on, you risk ruin your integrity.
What I'm saying, right, and I'm gonna comment on both the corporate and the courthouse. In both situations, it's a matter of your own survival. Yeah, they know that you faking, and you probably don't, like Gov say, a lot of people don't say yes sir or no sir. But if you go in that environment and don't say no sir, yes Your Honor, yes master, whatever you say, you're gonna be held in contempt. And
I'm gonna let you cook. I'm not talking about the yes sir, no sir. That's a certain etiquette that can't be avoided. But what I'm saying is, these guys, and including myself, you stand up with great posture. You go wear a suit. You try to present yourself as the most harmless guy that ever walked the earth. You try to convince the jury and their judge that you're not that monster. You're putting on a mask, and they already know what they got, and they already made their decision on you. It's just like in the corporate world. You're putting on a mask. They already made a decision what they're going to do. They just playing a game with you.
Right.
So you can go in there and you can not act like Tali and still get fired. You can not act like Quan and Gov and still get fired.
You can delay time though. It's like this. You got your hand in the lion's mouth. That's what my mom and my grandma would like to say. If you got your hand in the lion's mouth, are you going to yank it out or are you going to ease it out?
Right. And yeah. And I will say this one. The last thing is like, in
doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you're still going to get bit.
No, but I'm gonna say
you got a better chance of not getting bit by easing it out versus if you just yanked it automatically.
You ever felt the cat's tongue?
Yeah.
It got teeth on them jokers. Yep. You're still gonna get clawed and stretched on the way up. The way out.
Yeah, but would you rather get mauled all the way? You see what I mean? That's like that's your option at that point.
And and that's what I was gonna say is like at the end of the day is like, are you gonna make it easier? Are you gonna make your time harder in that situation? Now I will say this one thing just to wrap it up, right? Is that I think when it comes down to you actualizing, like if you go down to if you're outside of the courthouse, outside of the streets or corporate world, if you're working on a hobby or you got a talent that you're trying to develop, authenticity matters, and if you don't, you won't actualize your potential. Nobody can do you better than you. You get what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, you got artists that you didn't believe that was fake and didn't have a criminal record, but you believe their music though, right?
It's true. Sometimes it was successful. Sometimes it can work on you. Sometimes it can work in your way if you're really good at it. But for me, and that's entertainment. But for me, if I was to do, if I'm doing music, I'm doing art or so on and so forth, trying to act like someone else or do something else, another act isn't typically going to work for me. I'm sure there are people that are, great actors and so on and so forth. But I think a lot of people, they're going to be more comfortable being themselves because nobody can do you better than you.
Okay, so
nobody.
So that means no one can be fake as you when you go to a job. You're putting on the show, putting on the act, putting on a display.
That might be part.
You're not being your real self.
I mean, it's like,
you know what I'm saying? It's a thin line.
I don't think I was my real self on the fries when I used to work at Wendy's. You know what I mean? When I was not caring about fries. Like when I go home, I did not care about fries. So, but when I was there doing my shifts, I acted like, this is what I'm about, making sure I got enough salt on y'all fries. You know what I mean?
But you don't think that the supervisor seen that?
They didn't care. It was all about getting their money because he
you get what I'm saying? I mean, but it would matter if you stay there long enough and they say, evaluations come in. And they say, you got good work ethic, but for some reason just don't seem like you're part of the team.
I don't think they say that.
You don't get that promotion.
I don't think they do that. They probably just keep, you know how they do. That's fast food, though.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But just on a higher level.
It's a certain, when you go into those environments, there's an expected culture. You go into Wendy's, the customer's right. You got to be ecstatic about, cooking fries and delivering fries and stuff. All of this stuff is garbage culture.
The customer's right. The customer's right all the time. The customer's the one who paid the one who paid for your light bill and the roof over top of your head. So I don't care where you at. The customer's always right.
Yeah, but if the cashier is sleeping with the manager, that's what's really going to determine what's going to happen with me on the fries. That's why they cut my hours down. You see what I'm saying? She had to get more of my hours.
Then you got to put on a pimp mask and then you gotta change the game and so I can like a pimp and start.
That's why you gotta wear the mask. Now you
gotta wear the mask for that. You gotta wear the mask. Yeah.
Time and a place. Not always, because if you always wear the mask, then you're gonna turn fake the same way.
True. It's a thin line, man, of being authentic of who you are and just going a little bit over the top. Feel what I'm saying? Just wrap it up for this session of Guess How Said. I'm your host, Adam L. This is Co-host sick because the governor. I'm sorry, say it again.
Sick of the governor.
And Quan. But look, we got our last segment coming up. This is gonna be a good one. I don't know. We're gonna agree to disagree, but I know me. I'm gonna flip it and twist it. Food deserts.
Ooh.
Does they deserve to be in the urban community, or do they do not deserve